What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another video, and welcome back to the channel. Did you all miss me? In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a product so awesome and so impressive that honestly, I had to come out of pseudo YouTube retirement in order to show you guys this stuff. Because when I tell you that this is pretty much a purchase that I have been waiting my entire life to make, I'm not really even lying. This is a product that once I was able to finally get it in my hands, you guys, I cannot begin to tell you just how impressed and blown away by it I was. And the nostalgia tingles it gave me, whoa boy, I'll tell you what, I was feeling them. But before we go ahead and get into all of that and more, make sure if you guys haven't already done so, you smash that like button and subscribe. And yes, that's right, you guys, you can probably tell from the thumbnail, from the description of the video, what we're going to be talking about in today's video. We're going to be taking a look at some Orica Yu-Gi-Oh cards from Final Saga. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Final Saga, trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to be very familiar. But if you would like to familiarize yourself with them, links will be in the description for all the products we're going to be taking a look at in today's video. Let's just go ahead and get into these structure decks, because like I said, you guys, these are the coolest things that I've seen in quite some time, and I cannot wait to bring them to you. So you guys know what time it is, and without further ado, it's time to duel.
Ha! Gay!
Now, as always, links will be in the description for all the products we'll be talking about in today's video, and I will also have a pinned comment where you can check out all of these awesome products from Final Saga that we'll be talking about today. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and hop right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about here, just so we can kind of get a baseline idea of how great these Orica cards really are, I want to take a look at this set that I ordered separate from these bundles here for these different Battle City decks, and then we'll break down each one of these Battle City decks and take a look at them. But this is actually the Chaos set. You guys will see here, this is actually a set you can buy separately via Final Saga's website. It's going to be Chaos Emperor Dragon, Envoy of the End, and then Black Luster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning, and Primal Seed for that 3-card set. So you guys can see here, the ultimate rarity is what they are trying to establish with these here, and they have done an amazing job. You can see that holographic effect coming through on not only the art for the card, but also the levels and the attribute. It looks absolutely gorgeous. These cards are on a little bit thicker, and we'll do a side-by-side so you guys can see momentarily, but they are a little bit thicker stock of paper, in my opinion, for these guys versus a regular Yu-Gi-Oh card. They are, of course, going to be the same size so that they can accommodate your normal size Yu-Gi-Oh sleeves, your Japanese card sleeves, as it were. But there you guys go. That's more of a super or ultra rare type rarity holographic effect there on the Primal Seed, but really cool. So if we take a look at these here, like I said, they are trying to emulate that ultimate rare effect, and they do a really good job on these. As you guys can see, you can see that effect there. Kind of got that embossed, kind of grainy feel to the card for the effect, and you can see there the stock paper. I don't know if that comes through necessarily, but it looks really good. So the art on these, beautiful. Like I said, these things here really impressed me. I cannot believe the quality that comes along with these. The back of the cards is going to be the anime back for these. However, we are going to have a few that differ from that momentarily that we'll take a look at. So that's going to be the back there. Now, I do have some cards here that we can use for comparison's sake, just so you guys can get a little bit of a baseline idea. But let's go ahead, take a look real quick here, and I can do kind of a subtle flex as I show these off. But as you guys can see here, these are going to be the original Chaos Duo from the TCG. So there you guys go, got those there, just for comparison's sake here. So you guys can see these are going to be pretty much the exact same size cards. So really cool just to kind of see those side by side next to each other. Again, just gives you an idea of how good that full art looks on these custom Oricas. They look amazing. So Primal Seed here, just to give you guys a better idea. I feel more comfortable doing this with this one than I did with the other ones for obvious reasons here. But take a look at this Primal Seed. This is just a basic Yu-Gi-Oh! Common. So we'll take a look there. Same size. Again, do feel like the card width is a little bit better on the Orcas, but overall, cannot complain. Looks absolutely awesome next to the real thing. So that is going to do it for that Chaos set. Like I said, you guys, this Chaos set you can get separate on the website. Again, links will be in the description. Really, really cool stuff there. But it gives you at least an idea of the quality we are going to be seeing throughout these sets as we go through here. So get this stuff out of the way here, and we're going to take a look at some other cards. Now, these cards here actually come with this bundle. Now, these decks that we get into, you can buy these in different ways. I went ahead and bundled these three together to go ahead and get some of the bells and whistles that come in these boxes. You guys will see that. If you don't want the bells and whistles and the bundles and all that stuff, you can just pick up decks by themselves. And these will be in here as well that we'll look at. But it is going to be a price difference there, obviously, depending on what you want. But this set here that I'm about to show you guys, I do believe is on the website by itself as well. And any of these card sets, whether you go on there and get the Exodia set, which I didn't pick up, but you can go on there and pick up if you want to do that, or any of these other sets like this God card set, the Chaos set. I believe they also sell little displays for them as well. Obviously, they know that these are going to be kind of a collector thing. So they do offer those as well that you can bundle into the price, which I think is really cool. So I want to take a look at these God cards. Again, these come with these bundled decks that we'll talk about, but this is going to be the God of Obelisk, obviously, and this is the manga art. So you're going to have the manga style with the manga text. And the other really, really cool thing about these, if we take a look, you also have the manga back. So really cool effect there that they were able to go ahead and have that much attention to detail on these God cards. But it just goes to show another glowing example of how good these things all look as you go through here. But you see there the God of Obelisk, God of Osiris, the super rare style holographic effect to these, and then Sun God of Ra with the Egyptian text or ancient text. All right, so that is what we got there with the God card set that comes with these guys. Again, you can buy this separate, but these are really neat. I thought that was kind of a cool addition here as well for these bundles. Just another nice little thing that they add in there if you buy them all together. Now, one other thing I do want to get into before we get into the decks is I want to take a look at their sleeves. They actually have quite a few different options for sleeves. I went ahead and picked up, first of all, just their basic. They call these Saga sleeves, but these are just Japanese size. You guys can see there's 60 Japanese size sleeves, if it will focus there for us on the text there. But these guys here are going to be something that obviously you'll want for some of your character decks that you don't get bundled with the sleeve packs that come with those. But really cool that they offer these. This is just a matte purple. You guys can see there that I picked up, but they're very comparable to like an Ultra Pro. Another really cool thing that they actually included that I did not order, but I thought was really neat, is this border sleeve was on one of the cards that they sent. You guys can see that there. And they specialize in these. They have these again on their website. And these are really, really neat. Now, this was only one sleeve that they sent me, but I thought it was really cool and I wanted to show it off. There's the back of it there. It's kind of got like a transparency. But you can actually put this, as you guys can see here, over your regular Japanese size sleeves, and you get kind of a cool little border effect there on the front, and you can see your sleeve on the back there. But overall, I thought these were kind of cool as like a little novelty thing, and these actually look really, really crisp in person. So shout out to Final Saga. Even your card sleeves look absolutely awesome. All right, so that is going to be the card sleeves. I just wanted to take a look at those. We'll have more sleeves to take a look at. I know you're all super excited to see that, but trust me, the card sleeves in here are really, really cool. But before we go ahead and get into the decks, I do want to talk about something that is kind of I don't want to call it a gimmick. I don't think it's a gimmick, but I do think it's a really cool aspect of this stuff, and that is going to be these card books. So basically, each one of the decks is going to include a book. And this booklet, as you guys can see, is going to have full art that wraps around both sides. See there, you got Gearfried, you got Time Wizard, you got Scapegoats, Panther Warrior, of course Jinzo and Red Eyes. But if you look in here, it's actually going to have, and I don't know if you guys can read any of that, but rules that are as closely associated to the anime as they could get them. So really what they are trying to accomplish with these cards is for you to be able to kind of take these decks and play with a friend and be able to play a very close emulation of what the anime and the manga rules were, with as close as you can possibly get to the actual cards, which I think is really, really neat. So if we take a look here, you guys, they do have all the cards. There's the normal monsters just all kind of listed because they don't have effects, obviously. But then when you get into the effects for the effect monsters, you get all of this information in here, and it breaks down all of the different effects of all these cards, so that way you can actually play with these cards. And there's actually a rule, I don't know if you guys caught it here at the beginning, where you're actually, if you're playing with these cards, not supposed to tell your opponent what the card effect is until it actually is triggered or comes up, or you're going to use it or what have you. So it's kind of funny that they are trying to get you as close to that anime feeling, you know, that what's it do feeling, as it were, as they possibly can. But really, these booklets are just as high quality as everything else. You guys can see that, all the different effects. They even tell you if it's continuous, a quick play, etc. All that stuff is going to be in these booklets. So I do want to quickly kind of go through these here for you guys, just so you can kind of see the art on these, because the art is so nice. Look at that. Absolutely awesome. And again, the cards with these decks, they are even better. So there's the Bakura one of my favorite characters. Such cool artwork. That's Sangan hiding there behind Maneater Bug's ass. Then we got this one for Marik. Got Sphere Mode kind of peeking out down there at the bottom. And of course, the top decker extraordinaire himself, Yami Yugi Mutou. Yugi Moto, however you want to pronounce it. Heard it all different ways throughout the years. It's always been Moto for me, though. All right, guys, so there are your rule books. And again, all of these are going to look the same on the inside. They're just going to have the corresponding cards for each one of the decks. So really, really cool stuff. Now, something that you will notice, we can kind of use Yugi as an example here, but each one of the mains is, of course, going to have their corresponding god card with their deck. So really neat that those are included in there. And we'll take a look at those as well. So that is going to be what you get for the actual little books. Again, those come with each one of the character decks. I did reach out to Final Saga and asked them about a Bandit Keith deck, actually, but they told me that they're actually working on 14 more character decks right now, which is just absolutely insane to think about. But apparently Bandit Keith is one of them, so they are planning on expanding and releasing more of these character decks. I can't imagine why they wouldn't. I can't imagine that these things aren't popular. I mean, the quality and the price difference between these and what you get on Etsy is just insane. If you can go on Final Saga's website and compare the quality of what you're getting here and the price, what you see on places like Etsy, it's kind of crazy. So let's go ahead and start getting into some of these character boxes. So I want to start out with these two. Now, these are just your basic decks. I believe these are going to run about $30 by themselves. These guys here, they are going to have wraparound art. We'll take a look at them individually. We'll start out with Bakura here, since I had mentioned earlier he's one of my personal favorites. But you guys can see here kind of what you're getting into with that wraparound art there. As you can see, really, really cool. And then it actually continues onto the flaps. So super cool that there is that amount of attention to detail with these. And when you open them up, of course, you have your decks. So let's go ahead and get into our first theme deck here. This is, of course, going to be the Yami Bakura theme deck from Battle City. So let's go ahead and take a look at these here. Try and get this as close to the camera, so that way you guys can see all the really nice detail in these as best you can. Look at those. I mean, and some of these are, of course, going to have anime-only art as well. Some of these are actually going to have original art that was altered in the TCG from the OCG and etc., which is kind of cool to see too on some of these. We'll see that, I think, a little bit later with Parasite Paracid. But as you guys can see, there's Joudgen the Spiritualist. There's a iconic card, Mask of Darkness there. Look at that. And I'm not going to spend too much time on all these cards because we have a lot of cards to get through. There's 60 cards per deck. With these, like I said, you can get these in either bundles with a deck box that we'll get into and take a look at. With the Yugi, the Kaiba, and the Marik ones, those leather deck boxes that come with these things are chef's kiss, by the way. You can buy them separate, and yes, I will be picking them up for Joey and for Bakura because I didn't get them this go around, and I do regret it because now that I've seen the ones that we're going to be taking a look at in these other decks, I definitely want to pick those up. But all of the products from Final Saga have been just so cool. White magical hat there. Awesome. There's 2 of these, and then 2 of these here, and then we get into the spells. So there's some of the spells. We start with Chain Energy there. Really nice. And again, guys, some of these cards never have seen the light of day. And I will tell you what, there's Ectoplasmer there. There's an iconic Bakura card. For those of you who are familiar, fantastic. I tried to make that card work in the TCG when it first released, and I did not have much luck. But you win some, you lose some. Look at that one. It's got Lord of D on there. There's Monster Reborn. We all are familiar with that one. You know what that one does. Oh, Pot of Greed. There we go. It doesn't get much more iconic than Pot of Greed, right? I don't know what that one does, but somebody in the comments section can tell me. And then, as I had mentioned, you do get some original art here. So this was actually altered in like many Yu-Gi-Oh cards for the TCG versus the OCG and etc. So kind of nice to see something that's not just the regular TCG art there, but really cool Premature Burial there. And then again, guys, we do, speaking of things that were censored, we have the death board now. Instead of the final board, like it was in the TCG, it's actually the death board here with the Orica version. So very, very thankful for that. But you guys see those there. And then, of course, we are going to be getting into the traps to finish that off as we go here. But really cool to see the original version and not the final version, which is just silly. There we go. And there, speaking of, is the itself. Take that statement for what you will, but again, these cards are all such high quality. There's Just Desserts there. It just absolutely blew me away looking through these, and I haven't looked through all these yet. I'm really excited. I've been saving a couple of them to look at. I've looked through a couple of them just to kind of make sure everything looked good. But yeah, I'll tell you what, guys, absolute quality stuff with these decks. I mean, just look at the holographic. If you just showed these to someone and told them that it was an official product, they would probably believe you. And I don't think it would take any convincing. Absolutely breathtaking stuff. So, look at that. Absolutely awesome. Man-Eater Bug again. He's never looked better. Such a iconic card. Really, really cool. Speaking of iconic, Morphing Jar here. Always was one of my favorite card arts. Great card too in the TCG. And then we've got, look at that. So cool. Speaking of cards that you just don't see outside of something like this. Such a cool concept brought to life. I mean, there's just no way that I can think of that these could look better than how they turned out here. And of course, here we're getting into Change of Heart now. Change of Heart, it doesn't get much more iconic for Bakura. As you can see there, secret rare, hollow effect to the card. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Dark Necrofear, his signature monster. Again, with that secret rare holographic effect there. Dark Ruler Hades. He has his horns. Look at him in all of his glory. I mean, just amazing stuff, you guys. So that kind of gives you an idea, that first deck there, of what we're going to be seeing as we go through here. And like I mentioned, this did not even include the leather deck box or any of the bells and whistles that we're going to get into with these other decks when we get to that point. So we will be getting to those after we take a look at the third-rate duelist deck that we have next, which is, of course, going to be Joey Wheeler himself. So the Joey deck, big shout out to Final Saga. I actually did not order the Joey Wheeler deck. they actually kind of just threw that in for me. I'm not going to complain, but I do appreciate the free gift in there, you guys. So we are going to take a look at this one here. So this, as you guys can see, again, is going to have that art all around the box, that wraparound art around the entire box, including the flap there with the red eyes. You can actually probably just go ahead and do one of those. That way you guys can see that. Regeki coming down to just nuke everything, including Joey Wheeler there. All right, so really, really cool stuff. What does the bottom look like? Oh, we got some scapegoats. Nice. All right, let's take a look at the deck itself. Something that always struck me about the Joey cards in general for Joey's deck is Joey actually has some pretty good cards in his deck. He just, if you watch the show, you realize he's just not very smart, and that's kind of the issue. So let's take a look here. So first up here, we got Alligator Sword. And again, guys, it's crazy seeing some of these Baby Dragon there. They're just so iconic in their original anime forms. These are things that if you would have shown these to someone my age when we were like 10, 11, 12, 13, even when we were 20 years old, heck, I bought all these, so now. But you get my point. If you would have shown these to anyone around the time that Yu-Gi-Oh! Was in its prime, this stuff would, and you know, I cannot believe Konami has never capitalized on anything like this before, but this is the kind of stuff that people would have been clamoring for back in the day. I remember it was a fiber jar. I remember when this card was amazing, an absolute staple when it first came out. But if you would have shown these cards, these are the type of cards that if you would have shown somebody in trade back when Yu-Gi-Oh! First started and the anime was at its peak, forget about it. This stuff would have had way higher trade value than anything else you had at the time, even though you couldn't use it for anything. It would have been ridiculous. Now times have changed, but you know, more innocent times back in the day. There's Hayabusa Knight. I used to use this card in a Mahavelo deck back in the day. Insect Queen. Shout out to those of you who know what we're talking about with Mahavelo, but there's Insect Queen. Very, very cool. Rotting Captain. Such cool cards in here. The funny thing is I have most of these, and I was talking about this guy here earlier. I just really like that art. I think it's really, really cool. So, kudos to Final Saga for the art there. Very good. Very well done. But yeah, I have most of these cards in TCG form, which I could almost do a side-by-side for most of this stuff, but I'm not going to do that. Fiend Mega Cyber. People tried to make that card work when he first came out, too. Thousand Dragon. Another iconic card. Beautiful. Not secret rare, though. Look at that. Getting into the spells now, but again, guys, it doesn't matter whose deck we talk about here as we go through these. They're all just so well done. Fairy Box there as a spell and not a trap card. Foolish Burial. Giant Trunade. Graceful Dice. I mean, just so many amazing, amazing memories that come with each one of these cards. Kudos again to Final Saga. There's polymerization. Look at that. It doesn't get more, well, I was going to say it doesn't get more recognizable than that, but then, hey, you know, this one here, what's this one do? And we got Question. So many awesome cards. But yeah, like I was saying, again, big shout out to Final Saga for bringing these to life and making these a reality. So these things are just so, so cool. All right, guys, so we're going to be getting into the traps, and then we'll be talking about, interesting that Copycat is in there. Interesting. We're going to take a look at some of these traps, and then we're going to get into the hollows, and Joey's got some really cool bangers when it comes to his hollows. But Grave Robber there. Kunai Wit Chain. Very, very cool, you guys. And then we get into the hollows. All right, so take a look at these here. Such a beautiful effect on that. Now, this being a fusion, it also, with that holographic effect, really, really nice. Those colors pop really well. Really, really cool. I don't think we've had a holographic fusion yet. But speaking of holographic fusions, there's a big one there. Trying to get this as close for you guys as possible. There we go. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. more like an ultra rare effect there. You got Gearfried, the Iron Knight. Looking great. The aforementioned Regeki. Back in the day, I had a Regeki in my early days that was a world version, which basically is the exact same card, but on the back it looks different. If you pull it out of a sleeve, you can clearly tell because it has Japanese logo and text. I used that for most of my TCG tournaments very early on when I was like 10, 12, I don't know, very young. But hey, nobody ever noticed. It was fine. It was a very expensive card when it first came out. There's your Red Eyes Black Dragon. Gorgeous effect there, an ultra rare effect to all of the holo there. And then, of course, Scapegoat. Let me know in the comments section if you remember the GOAT format. If you were there for it, then you know I was absolutely dominant during the GOAT format. That was probably the most dominant format. I topped, I think, 3 regionals during the GOAT format. What do we got here? Legendary Fisherman. Absolutely gorgeous. Such a cool card. We need a Mako Tsunami deck as well. Another one that I'm sure that they are working on over at Final Saga. There's Time Wizard. Beautiful. And then we get into the secret rarity, or secret rare rarity ones. You guys can see there, Flame Swordsman. Guilford, the Lightning. Look at him. Gorgeous effect. The secret rare is probably my favorite effect. And then, of course, Jinzo. A card that was just an absolute menace for such a long time in the TCG. Such a cool card. Still to this day, so recognizable. And then, of course, we have the Panther Warrior with the secret rare. Look at that. Beautiful. All right, guys, so that is going to be Joey's deck. So we got through 2 of these decks now, and those are going to be the 2 basic ones. So essentially, that is what you are going to get if you just order the basic vanilla decks without any of the bells and whistles. You will get the box. All of this stuff did come in cellophane, by the way. I do want to point that out as well for those of you who are wondering. Yes, this stuff does ship from overseas. I believe they are a Dutch company. But either way, this stuff will be coming from overseas, but you don't necessarily have to worry. Each one of these, the deck itself was actually in cellophane, and then there was cellophane around the box as well. Same with these guys here. Everything was wrapped. So I actually had to go through and unwrap everything. I have an entire box of plastic wrap at my feet right now from going through all this stuff. So yeah, suffice it to say, they are very, very cautious with shipping when it comes to this stuff. So with that said, you guys, now that we've gotten through 2 of the character decks, I want to go ahead and talk about these. Now, these are going to be kind of the main event of the video. These are going to be the full-blown bells and whistles versions of the Battle City decks for the 3 main Battle City characters, Yugi, Marik, and Kaiba. So I want to go ahead and, of course, start out with Yugi, because Yugi is going to be the main character, so why not? Mr. Top Deck himself, you guys will see. First big difference is if you get these bundled, you are going to be able to pick up this really cool box that is going to be encasing all the goodies that are going to come along with this that we'll be getting into. There you guys can see Buster Blader, Big Shield Gardna, Summon Skull. That's a card I cannot wait to see that is going to be in here. I have not looked through this one yet. Such a cool box. All of this stuff is such high quality. None of it feels cheap. All of it feels really well done. You guys can see there, even the flaps are going to have that art. So that art is going to be all over these boxes. So let's take a look at the first big difference. I had mentioned these leather deck boxes, right? Look at that. Feast your eyes on that. Now, these are going to be leather embossed, as you guys can see. Kind of got that effect there with Yugi's face. Side, back, top, bottom, etc. But what really sets these things apart, I'm going to have to turn this to the side to give you guys the full reveal. But look at that. Look at that. We'll be getting into that. But let's talk about this. So, try and get this as close as I can for you guys. Look at that effect. That art is beautiful. So cool. Hopefully you guys can see that. It is very high quality too. Gorgeous. So cool until you get into the deck box itself. So really, really cool stuff with the deck box. Very high quality. Now, let's talk about what's in the deck box. First things first, we have a little separator featuring Kaiba there. It says Final Saga. Really, really neat. Blank on the other side. And then the bundle, like I had mentioned, is going to come with all this stuff in here. And the first big thing that you're going to have in here is going to be the metal version of the corresponding character's Egyptian god card. See if you guys can see that there. But this is a metal embossed with the regular TCG effect on the back. And like I said, it's a metal card. These guys, I'm putting a little bit of bend in there, but not much is happening. These guys are pretty thick, but very, very high quality. I don't know if you guys can hear that or see that, but really, really nice stuff all the way around there. So that is going to be one of the things that you are going to get with these, that you will get in addition to just buying it the regular way where you just get the deck. You'll get that gold card in there as well. And then you'll also get these card sleeves. Now, I mentioned card sleeves earlier. These are going to be the matte artwork edition sleeves. Now, what these guys are going to actually be, if we take a look here, and this actually I did earlier, I ripped this trying to get into these because that tab did not want to work with me. But these sleeves are actually the anime backs. And that is going to be a 60 sleeve pack. And these are, as we had mentioned, 60 card decks. So you have sleeves for all the cards that are going to be in the deck box. So that is a really nice addition as well. And they're going to have that anime back. So that way you can kind of keep that effect going with these decks and keep them safe as well. So that's going to be kind of the little add-ons and additions that come with it. So let's take a look at the actual deck itself. So first things first, you guys will notice there, again, the art. I'm sure that this is what you'll be getting if you're just buying the deck vanilla by itself without the bundle. But still very, very cool. And again, just like we mentioned, all the flaps are going to feature art as well to keep the effect going. I have not looked through these, so I'm very excited to see what we got here. All right. Move some of this stuff out of the way here. So, we're going to start out with some of them, well, with at least one Magnet Warrior. Again, guys, these are absolutely beautiful. A vanilla 4-star 2600 defender. Only Yugi Mutou. There's another, and you can see kind of the difference there. We don't have the holographic effect for him versus the Joey version of the card, so gives you kind of a different look at the same card. And of course, you could not have Yugi's deck without Dark Magician Girl. There she is, looking absolutely breathtaking as usual. Really, really neat stuff. There's so many iconic cards as we go through these. So many cards. And it's crazy how much of my memory bank is dedicated to effects and names and all this different information. Especially back when I used to judge. Big shout out to Pastime Games back in the day. I don't know if they're still around or not. There's Kaiba. I used to judge for Pastime for quite a while, judging regionals and other big events going around and just having the time of my life, I'll tell you. Look at these. There's your card destruction. But yeah, guys, these are, jokes aside, I think that the art and the quality of the product pretty much tells you all that you need to know. That diffusion wave motion. I mean, just everything about these. And I'm sure that all of you have different memories with all these different cards. There's the Graceful Charity. I have so many memories of top decking that and being top decked with that. Good times, good times. This card's actually kind of, I was reading through some of the effects earlier. This card's actually somewhat busted. Or at least it seems like it is. Monster Reborn there. Multiply. But yeah. It is Yugi. And it seems like every deck has Pot of Greed. Because, you know, it's Pot of Greed. Why wouldn't you have Pot of Greed? Who here can remember, is old enough to remember, the OG God hands that included such things as Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, Delinquent Duo, Confiscation, Forbidden Century, Painful Choice? Who here remembers such things? Let me know in the comments section. If you have any fond memories of God handing someone or someone you loved, or having the God hand come down upon you. But now that we are getting through some of these traps, there's Time Seal there. We're going to get into the real meat and potatoes of this deck, which of course, Dark Magician. Look at him. Just absolutely awesome. Look at that card. I'm trying to get that as close as I can. Because it is such a, even, let's see if you can see the eyes under there. Such clarity to the art. Expanding the art gives you so much more detail and clarity with these cards. They're just so beautiful. Again, just look at, got the red eyes there. Of course, Yugi had red eyes during Battle City in his deck. There's the Summon Skull. Now, that's one that I really, really was excited to see in here, and he does not disappoint. Such a cool card. One of my favorite OG cards, Swords of Revealing Light. I believe we saw a common version of that earlier. Mirror Force, of course. No Yugi deck would be complete without Mirror Force. And then, of course, you've got the Buster Blader. Dark Paladin. That Gaia. Beautiful. And then, of course, I did mention earlier, the God card itself will be included. And it is an ultimate rare. You can see that amazing, just circular effect going all throughout the background there. Incredible. Probably the coolest looking version of the God cards I've ever seen in my life. And back in the day, for those of you who can remember that far back, God cards were one of the most sought after, most requested, most wanted items before they were released. I think probably in Yu-Gi-Oh! History. And they did not disappoint, don't get me wrong, when they finally came out, art-wise. But to get the full art from the anime this way, I mean, even with the manga ones, to compare side by side to these, I far prefer the anime ones, but I have much more history with the anime than I do with the manga. I did not read the manga until later on, but that is going to be Yugi's deck, you guys. We are going to be moving on now to Marik Ishtar, because we are going to be saving the best for last. Yes, Seto Kaiba is the best. Do not accept any substitutes. But let's go ahead and take a look at Marik's deck, right? As you guys can see, you have Split Personality Boy looking all crazy there. Got the art on the sides, again, wrapping around. And then Winged Dragon of Ra on top. Now, real talk, I will say, again, there's the art that you'll get on the flaps. I will say that if I had to pick one of these decks that I would probably use, it might actually be Marik's deck, but that's neither here nor there. Now, as you can see, again, embossed in yellow is this deck box. Of course it is. The Winged Dragon of Ra's wielder would not have it any other way. You guys can see, again, just another leather deck box, but again, with the beautiful reveal here, as you guys can see, that as close up there as I can, do it justice. There you guys go. What a beautiful, beautiful art. And of course, same basic setup there to the deck box. But that art is just beautiful. So let's go ahead. Again, we do have sleeves in here. What is our card separator? There you go. See if you guys can see that. And again, backside is just blank. We have our card sleeves, like I mentioned. And then we have our gold metal Winged Dragon of Ra card. Look at that. Very, very neat. Again, got the TCG back. Nice and thick. Good, good stuff. So let's break into this deck here. Take a look at what we got. Again, you're going to have the art wrapping around the box. Get that in there for you all real quick. Winged Dragon of Ra on the top. Art on the flaps. No, they spared no expense. Really, they didn't. Oh, man down. Oh, we'll be all right. All right. Let's take a look here what we got. But they really did spare no expense here. A Dark Droid. I actually used this in a fun little Strike Ninja deck I used to use with Mystic Tomatoes and Nudorias and all sorts of fun stuff just for kicks and giggles. I was the only person that I ever knew that made Strike Ninja work at a local tournament for more than one tournament at a time. Now, some of these are actually going to be exclusive to the set as well, so it's kind of cool to see some of these. Like this set here is really, really neat that these were included. They did not need to include these here, but it's really neat that these are in here. We'll take a look at these slime versions of the gods. Got Obelisk, got Ra, and Osiris, or Slifer, however you want to go about it. All right, there you go. Again, guys, this is such a cool set. I really hope that people are able to pick these up and get these. They also are doing booster packs now, which, you know, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. I would love to be able to get some of those if I can. Again, guys, this is not a sponsored video, so this is all stuff that I picked up myself, but you can see why I was so in love with this stuff when I first saw it. But the first time I laid eyes on it, I own a lot of stuff. I spent a lot of money. You guys know that if you follow me on Instagram. Cheap plug. The link will be in the description. But if you follow me on Instagram, you know I buy a lot of stuff. It might be one of the coolest things I've purchased in forever. We have a playset of the slimes here, which is cool. Oh no. Almost lost them. Not quite, though. Fate Doll, I believe the name of that one. Black Pendant. It's crazy how many of these I still remember. Card of Sanctity. Absolutely wild. I don't remember all of them, though. I'm not going to lie to you guys and tell you I remember every single name of every single card. Oh, they've actually got the holographics in the middle here. So we're going to start out here with some holos before we get into the traps. And Marik just has... Look at that Hellpomer. Look at him. The secret rare effect. So cool. Again, guys, I hope everybody who wants to pick these up can. There's so many different ways you can get them. If you just want to pick up the decks, I highly recommend it. The boxes are beautiful. All the little bells and whistles are really cool. That Lava Golem. Such a good card in general. But you don't need the bells and whistles. The cards themselves are enough. Look at the hollow version of the Monster Reborn. Beautiful. Now I've said beautiful about 1,000 times in this video. I'll probably say it 1,000 more, especially when we get to Kaiba's deck, because that's going to be the one that I am biased towards entirely and admittedly. Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere mode. So many cool cards. Visor Shock. And then, of course, as I mentioned, guys, the ultimate rare version of the Winged Dragon of Ra. Gorgeous. All right, so we're going to finish up some of these spells and traps. Like I said, they put the hollows in the middle of this one for whatever reason, but that's okay. Pot of Greed, what's that do? Premature Burial. This is actually a different art from the one we saw earlier, which I think is interesting too. So if you're paying attention, some of the arts will be different versions of the arts depending on which deck you pick up. it looks like, which is really cool. It just gives more variety, you know? I think that's really kind of a neat little thing that they're doing. And they're doing booster packs now as well. I don't know, and I'll get confirmation. I would like to ask them and try and figure this out. If there's going to be rules and text for all the cards that are in the booster packs as well, but there are booster packs now. It looked like that they do include, with the booster boxes and the booster packs, most of the cards that are in these decks, as well as tons and tons of new ones, including Mystic Tomato, which I had mentioned earlier, in there as a common, which one of the selling points for me of picking those up. But I definitely want to do an unboxing and a kind of pack opening video with their booster packs as well. I would really like to be able to get that going. And they've got some really cool other products on there too. Like if you're familiar with Book of Moon, if you're an old school Yu-Gi-Oh fan, they actually have a Book of Moon binder that is gorgeous on there if you guys have not taken a look at it yet. I promise I am not shilling whatsoever. I wouldn't pay a dime for this video. This video cost me money. But I will tell you guys right now, this stuff is absolutely worth it. So, that is going to be Marik's deck. And again, guys, these decks will have the card sleeves in there, so you'll have those as well to protect your cards. I always get paranoid putting these back in here. Afraid I'm going to bend something or nick something or catch something. Okay, cannot wait to put the sleeves on these. All right, guys, so we have one more. We are done. And that is, of course, going to be, saving the best for last, as I mentioned earlier, Seto Kaiba. Look at that. I don't know why, but maybe because my little brother played cards with me, played Yu-Gi-Oh! With me the entire time we played Yu-Gi-Oh! And we were always coming down to the finals together. And it was one of those things where I had maybe the same haircut. I have no idea. But either way, the comparisons between myself and Kaiba when I was a kid, they stuck all throughout my time playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And so anytime I see anything Kaiba now, whether he's my favorite character or not, I'm just always so partial to. Although I will say that if I had to pick a favorite character, it probably is Seto Kaiba. So, as you guys can see there, that's going to be your box, for your deck box. But what's really cool here, and yes, I did peek at this. Look at that. Get that in there. Look at that. Obelisk the Tormentor. Kaiba standing there all smugly right before he loses to Yugi in some ridiculous top deck situation. Look at that. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at, obviously, first the separator. We got Sagi the Dark Clown. Never looked better there. And, of course, the blank on the back. Card sleeves, and then the Obelisk the Tormentor gold card. If I can get that in there. There we go. Very, very cool. Just like the other ones, you guys. Nothing to differentiate it, really, outside of the fact that it is his corresponding God card for Kaiba. And then, of course, the deck box. Wraparound art there. Obelisk at the top. And then we get into the deck. I have not looked through this one. This is the one I'm most excited to look through, though, as I mentioned. So we'll take a look here, see what there is to see. Blade Knight right on top. Get these in focus for you guys. There's Blade Knight. That's Cyberjar. Another card that was an absolute monster when it first released. Such cool stuff. Hopefully, you guys can see that through this video. And I will say that for those of you who are interested, there are going to be promo codes out there. I don't personally have one because, again, this is not a sponsored video, but I know that many people who have done videos covering these do have little discount codes and things that you can use. So if you guys are looking for discount codes, that is something you can go check out and probably get yourself a nice 10% off here or there to save yourself some money. But overall, you guys know my recommendation on these things. If you're an old school Yu-Gi-Oh player, if you're somebody that's an old school Yu-Gi-Oh fan, if you're somebody that's just a Yu-Gi-Oh fan in general, this is probably something that you need to have. I can't imagine that there's that many people out there that call themselves fans of Yu-Gi-Oh that would not look at this stuff and just go, yeah, I need that. And I got that full Thunder Dragon goodness there, all three of them. But I know for sure that, like I mentioned, if you would have shown this to me when I was younger, enemy controller there, different art too, beautiful. Now we have the hollows. These are going to be in the middle of this one too. So we got the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, the secret rare effect. Gorgeous. Hyozen Ryou, I think, is a weird choice. It's Hyozen Ryou, right? That's the name of that one. Am I pronouncing it right? Somebody will let me know in the comments, I'm sure. Interesting one to choose for the secret rare rarity, but cannot complain about the art. Good old Sword Stalker. A old school Kaiba card. Kaiba's favorite starting move in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Playing Vorse Raider in attack mode, of course. His OG favorite first move, summoning Battle Ox in attack mode. Look at that. The super rare rarity or the ultra rare rarity type. And then brush card. Try and get this one up there so you guys can see it nice and clear. Such a broken but iconic card. Speaking of iconic, this full art looks great too. Ring of Destruction, another card that used to be an absolute staple back in the day. Soul Exchange, which is broken in the anime. And then, this is probably the one I was the most excited to see. The playset. The full playset of the Blue Eyes White Dragons. Because how else are you going to make that Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon that we saw without 3 Blue Eyes? And of course, we have to have the Ultimate Rare Obelisk the Tormentor. Really, really cool. The thing that gets me about these two is you'll notice with a lot of Oricas, the colors are a little bit off. You have some weird, like, kind of, I don't know, the greens on the or the spell cards or the magic cards, however you want to call it, the purple on the trap cards, the browns on the effect cards. They end up looking too light or too dark. These guys here, in my opinion, again, I hate to keep glazing it, but I'm telling you guys, to my eyes, these things could not look any better. They could not look any more accurate. And I'm sure if you take it on a card-by-card basis, maybe some are more accurate than others, but in general, I don't think you can really... I really don't think you can really deny just how close these are to what you would see in the anime. So wild. Interdimensional matter transporter. Negate attack. So cool. So yeah, guys, that is going to be Kaiba's deck, and that is going to be the full suite up to this point. Like I mentioned, they are going to be coming out with more of these, they say. They are working on a lot more of these decks, but for now, this is all of the character decks that Final Saga has available on their shop at the moment, and I'm just going to let the quality of what you guys saw today in this video speak for itself. I think you all know what my recommendation is if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, but overall, let's go ahead and jump to the face cam, and we'll go ahead and give our final thoughts on all of this stuff. Well, there you have it, you guys. The final Saga Yu-Gi-Oh! Structure decks for Yugi, Kaiba, Marik, Joey, and Bakura, as well as some extra cards in there for good measure. Again, big shout out to Final Saga for making these products possible. As a 20-plus year Yu-Gi-Oh! Veteran and fan, I can tell you again, this was the product of my dreams to have and to hold in my hands, and I can only hope that there are more decks on the way for more of my favorite characters. Again, none of this stuff was sponsored. I want to make sure again that you guys know that. I just wanted to make this video just because I love these products and I felt very passionate about them. And I thought that in comparison to other products out there on the market, these just blow them away and there's no competition whatsoever in my mind. And I've seen a lot of this kind of stuff over the years. But with that said, the one big downside I will say to any of Final Saga's products is going to be the fact that they are overseas, so shipping to the United States or wherever you might be is a little pricey. For me, it was about $30 some odd to get stuff here. Now, of course, if you spend X amount, I believe it's $200 with them, you get free shipping. They also have a rewards program where you can earn points for every dollar spent. So they have a lot of really cool stuff on their website, as well as other products that we weren't able to look at here today, of course, but definitely check them out. Again, I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew all that. Again, this stuff does ship from overseas, so a little bit of a high shipping cost. It took about a week to 10 days from my order to get here, so it wasn't too bad as far as timing goes. And again, everything got here, as you saw, in great shape. But with all that being said, you guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. I know it's been like almost an hour at this point, so I'm gonna get out of here. But again, if you stuck it out, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.
Continue.